Hey guys, welcome to lesson 22, rate of change. First of all, look at that timestamp right now. It's 11:27. So what I need from you guys, since I am working so hard for you, is your sound needs to be on. Cool. Aim number 22. What is meant by rate of change and how can it be calculated? Rate of change is something you guys have definitely heard before. We're just going to try to refresh your memory, and if you don't remember what it is, hopefully what I'm about to say will help you out. So let's take a look at our do now. The table indicates the amount of money in Ms. Shu's bank account over 5 years. So in 2016, I had $350. In 2017, I had $550. In 2018, I had $900. 2019, $1,350. And in 2020, I have $1,875. I'm moving on up, guys. The problem is asking, what is the average rate of change in dollars per year between 2016 and 2019? So the first thing I know is that I'm looking at 2016, I'm looking at 2019, so let me highlight those two. So we're looking at 2016 and 2019. Average rate of change. Please don't let these, words confuse you. It is exactly what it sounds like. I'm trying to find out how much I'm changing by. So the first thing I'm going to do is let's find out how much my money changed by. So I went from $350 to $1,350, and if you're really good at math, you figured out that I went up by $1,000. Right? But sometimes the numbers are not so simple. So another way to figure out how much something changes by every single time is to subtract. So if I want to show my work, my average rate of change is $1,350 minus $350, and I get $1,000. And now don't forget the years, right? Because that happened between 2016 and 2019. So again, if I want to find out how much they change, I know that that's 3 years, but I need to show my work. So I'm going to subtract 2019 minus 2016, and I get that that's going to be 3 years. I'm sorry, I didn't give us very nice numbers to work with. Take this, put it into your calculator, go ahead and divide, and I get approximately, the symbol is approximately, $333.33. Alright, let's try again for one more problem. What was the average rate of change in dollars per year between 2017 and 2019? So here's 2017 and 2020. And here's 2020. So the first thing, again, I'm going to find how much did I change by in terms of my money. 1,875, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 550. Please enter that into your calculator. Alright, we get 1,325. And then we're going to subtract the bottom, the years. So 2020 minus 2017, and you get 3. Please put this into your calculator and help me calculate our average rate of change. We get $441.67. Wait a minute. What I just did looks like really, really familiar to me, because if this was a table, and it is, I can label this as X and Y. Right? So now it looks more like a table that I'm used to. These are my X values, these are my Y values. And to find my average rate of change, what I did first was, on my numerator, I subtracted my 2 Y values. But now, Ms. Shu, that's really confusing. Y minus Y, that cancels each other out, right? But the 2 Y values are not the same, so I want to call them different names. Let's say that this one is going to be Y2, and this one is Y1. Those numbers are not operations, so I'm not multiplying the Y by 2. I'm not doing anything to the Y. It just means that I have 2 different Y values, and I need to be able to tell which one is which. So on the bottom, what I did was I took the X's, and I subtracted them from each other. But again, you can't just do X minus X. They're not the same X value, right? I'm talking about 2 different X values. Holy moly! That looks really familiar to me, and that should look really familiar to you as well. I'm sorry, guys, I meant to write this here. Our average rate of change is Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. And that formula, if you don't know, guys, is our formula for slope. That is our slope formula. Crazy. So, another word for rate of change is slope. Let's see if we can apply this. All of these problems that I'm about to do now come straight from your Delta math. So, if you want to take pictures when we're done, so that you can refer to something as you're doing your Delta math, that would be really helpful. So let's practice. A function is graphed below. On which interval of x is the average rate of change of the function the greatest? Ooh, okay. So let's do this one first. From x equals 0 to x equals 2. So I have my x values, right? But my slope formula requires that I have y values and x values. So when x is equal to 0, my y value is 110. When x is equal to 2, my y value is 217. And just so I don't confuse myself, I'm going to label these right away. Right away. This will be my first x value. This is my first y value. This is my second x value, my second y value. Now to find our average rate of change, we use our slope formula, y2 minus y1. So that's 217 minus 110 over x2 minus x1. 2 minus 0. I get 217 minus 110 is 107 over 2. And this is going to give me 53.5. So that was the average rate of change for that piece right there. Let's do another piece. Oh, I got an email. That's from x equals 7 to x equals 19. So again, I got to do the same thing. So when x is 7, my y value is 439. And when x is 19, my y value is 665. What is the next thing I should do? I should label my points, right? This one is x1, this one is y1, x2, y2. Let's do the math. So I have y2, 665, minus y1, 439, over x2, 19, minus 7. Let's go ahead. I'm going to enter this into my calculator. I get 226 on top, 19 minus 7. I get 12 on the bottom. We're going to divide. I get 18.83. This problem's a lot of work because we got to find that rate of change multiple times. All right, next. X equals 2 to x equals 7. What color should I use? Let's do this one. Oh no, I did them all. Okay, so x equals to 2. When x is equal to 2, my y value is 217. When x is equal to 7, my y value is 439. Again, our first step should be to label our points. This is x1, y1. This is x2, y2. So now I'm just going to use these points, plug it into my slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I get 222 on top, and then on the bottom I get 5. 222 divided by 5. Ooh, my calculator's broken. Gives us 44.5. So notice I'm writing down all these numbers so that I don't lose track of them, and I'm writing them in an appropriate place, like not just all over the page, because sometimes you guys do that and it's really confusing for me when I try to check your work. Last one, we are almost there. Let's do it here. I have some room here. This is what I mean, all over the place, right? All right, when x is 19, our y value is 665. When x is 34, our y value is 884. I'm going to label them now. I already used that color. x1, y1, x2, y2. Now we do y2 minus y1, so 884 minus 665 over x2, which is 34, minus x1, which is 19. Subtract the top. I get 219 on top. Subtract the bottom. I get 15 on the bottom, and I'm just going to divide. 219 divided by 15, I get 14.6. They want to know which rate of change was the greatest. The greatest rate of change has to be this one, 53.5. That number's so much bigger than the other ones. All right, that's on a table. Now let's take a look about what about if it's on a graph. The function y equals f of x is graphed below. What is the average rate of change of the function f of x on the interval 1 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 3? Write your answer in simplest form. Wow, this looks confusing, but I promise it's not. Again, they gave us the x values. The x values are 1 and 3. Now, all I need to do if I want to use my slope formula is find those y values. When x is equal to 1, my y value is going to be 30. When x is equal to 3, 1, 2, 3, my y value is 10. And now I can use my slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Do myself a favor and let's label. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. So I have 10 minus 30. I know a lot of you guys would have tried to put the 30 first, but believe me, label your points and put it in exactly as you see it. It doesn't matter if the smaller number comes first, okay? It's exactly how you have it labeled. And then on the bottom, 3 minus 1. If I subtract on top, I will get negative 20. Subtract on the bottom, I get 2. Gives you a slope of negative 10. And that makes sense to me that it's a negative slope because take a look. Between these 2 points, whee, my graph is falling down, right? So it's a negative slope. What about from an equation? I promise we're almost there. Given the function h of x equals to this, determine the average rate of change over the interval 2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 8. So again, they gave us the x values. We have 2, and then I have 8. How do I find out what the y value is? Plug it into your calculator, and here's how you're plugging it in. First, I'm going to plug in the x value of 2. I'll do that right here. So this is x squared, and instead of x, right, I'm replacing it with parentheses, and I'm plugging in 2. And all I'm doing now is exactly the way I see it. I'm putting it into my calculator. Please go ahead and do that. We get negative 3. Let's do the same thing for 8. So instead of the x's, I'm putting in parentheses so that now I can plug in 8. So again, we're going to do the same thing. Plug it into your calculator. And I get that this is equal to 9. All right, well, now that I have these two values, how do I find the average rate of change? Or what is the other word for average rate of change? Slope. And slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's do this. x1, y1, x2, y2. So 9 minus negative 3 over 8 minus 2. Put this into your calculator. On top I get 12. On the bottom I get 6. Divide, I get 2. And one last problem, guys. A function is graphed below on which interval of x is the average rate of change of the function the greatest. So the same way we did the one with the table, we're going to